Good morning, Supercross fans. Welcome to the virtual track walk presented by Dunlop Motorcycles. We are round 6 at the Indianapolis Monster Energy Supercross. And just a little reminder, race day live starts at 2 p.m. Eastern today. So make sure you guys tune in for that. But I have my good friend Brock Glover with me to talk about the track. How are you doing, Brock?
Very good. Just getting excited. And one more round. It's like we're whipping through these things really quickly.
Yeah, no, I was talking to my brother earlier in the week, and I couldn't believe we're already round 6 of the Monster Energy Supercross. It is absolutely flying by, and you know what else is flying by is this first corner. We're already in to zone 2 of this first corner, and this is an interesting one because it's a right-handed first corner as well as Houston 3 that we've seen. So these things are a little bit more rare on the Supercross sides. So let's talk about the little adversity that the riders have to go through.
Yeah, I mean, right-hand corners, I'd like to actually do a little study on that because it seemed to me at Houston 3, there was less crashes because people tend to be a little more conservative. But I don't know about this first corner right here. It's coming right into a pretty tricky little rhythm section here. So it's going to separate them right away, and I think it's going to be important to get a good start. The first 2 or 3 riders that can get on the rhythm that they want to be on, they're going to be able to separate themselves from the field right away.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And two, if you have noticed, Dirtworks made this first rhythm lane actually a foot wider on, a foot wider altogether. So this lane's a little bit wider than the lanes we're going to be seeing later on the track. And we're coming up to one of the 390s we have on this track today. What's super important to look at as far as like passing situations and how the track is developing. And we also have our McAllister Cat Rentals that's helping building the track. They've been helping us out a lot with the Dirtworks crew and just getting every piece of equipment that we need to build this Supercross track, in 3 days. So Dirtworks has done a phenomenal job, with the quick turnaround that we have. But we're coming up to another 90 and then double and then to our standard Supercross triple as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're heading across there, a couple of 90s right across the front of the starting gate there to help separate the riders a little bit, get everybody set up. And as you mentioned, a double onto a big standard Supercross triple. It's kind of should be kind of routine. The ground looks like it's drying out a little bit more than it did at round 1. We certainly saw a lot more riders dealing with ruts, sometimes taking excursions off the track, even the leaders. And, from a tire guy's perspective, we had some guys that normally run the 120 size on the 450s go down to the 110 size width, a little narrower. So you get almost 10 millimeters narrower rear tire just so that they could drop them down into the ruts and not deal with the tire maybe touching and banging off the edge of the rut. So, there are some things, with all this traction, this beautiful soil we got in the Midwest here, traction is not much of an issue. So, dealing with the ruts is more important.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then, you were talking about traction and, we just went over to the only rhythm section that stayed put throughout this whole entire track build. So I'm expecting this rhythm section that we're walking through right now to be less rutted than the whole entire track. But I also seen in the beginning of the races, Eli Tomac having some issues and being a little bit timid in the beginning of the motos, just because the track hasn't developed those deep ruts where you can be aggressive. Talk about a little bit more about, being timid and just riding with the track and developing with the track.
I mean, if you can critique a multi-time national motocross champion and a reigning Supercross champion, I'd have to say that's one of, if I want to say one of his weaknesses is probably his first lap. I don't know if it's just a strategy and he doesn't want to, he knows he can't win if he's on the ground or what it is, but he tends to be a little bit conservative and put himself, what I see a lot is in the outside positions, which was really not advantageous to have somebody on the inside of you in corners, especially 180s and even some 90s, where you see a guy like Ken Roxon, who's just a rabbit on the first lap or two, and that's where he tends to get out, and so does a guy like Justin Barcia. So, if you want to say that, that's probably what I would say his weakness would be is his positioning on the first lap or two. He tends to actually work himself backwards instead of forward.
Yeah, and you know, we've been watching qualifying so close, and everybody is so close in lap time. If you drop 3 or 4 seconds on that first lap, you're basically taking that whole entire 20 minutes to get caught back up to just to the rear wheel, let alone going through traffic and just, you know, developing the track, developing new lines. And, you know, we're coming into this roller section. We just went through another long rhythm section. That pass rhythm section was just kind of, you know, become multiple passing options and multiple options and obstacles. And it's going to be a fun racetrack. I'm really excited. I think the track is actually going to become a 50-second Supercross track, not, you know, down in the 47s in qualifying, but I'm looking to for the track to really slow down during those main events, just because the whole entire track is brand new except for one rhythm section. So it's going to break down quite a bit, I think, throughout the night and throughout these main events.
Yep, as we bust over the finish line there. You mentioned that earlier, you know, in the 4 heat races that we had at the last round here at Indianapolis, the first 3 went 9 laps, and the last one, that Ken Roxon, the eventual main event winner by a good margin actually, ended up only going 8 laps, and that was really because of the track deterioration and how it actually did get slower throughout the heat races.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then, you know, I was watching in qualifying as well. What's going to happen today is, you know, these 250C guys are going to get the track absolutely brand new with no ruts, you know, no breakdown whatsoever. And they can just go, you know, wide open 100% throughout the whole entire track without navigating through ruts or, you know, through any chuckles or anything. And then the track really slows down when you get into that 450B group and the lap times really start dropping off. And, you know, we're coming past this dozer. The track is going to come backwards down this start straight into this CBD MD 90 left-handed corner into one of my favorite parts of the track, the whoop section. And the whoop section has been breaking down quite a bit, and a lot of it is just the topsoil and the dirt, like we've been talking about through this whole entire track walk. But riders have really been developing different lines through these whoop sections, and it's been key part in the main event on getting those quick times to, you know, staying through the whole entire main event.
Yes, you mentioned the whoops. I mean, it seems in the beginning people tend to look how tall they are. Like you mentioned, you're a big guy, and to see how tall those whoops are, I don't think the average person realizes how nasty those things can be. But as the main line develops, a lot of guys start going into the rhythm of jumping 2-2-2 or 3-3 or whatever they can get away with. And then you'll see them peel off to one side or the other and then do the more of a blitzing method. And then as the night goes on and throughout the main event, as they get deep into the 20-plus lap margin, these guys are just doing whatever they can to survive to get through them. And they have been getting pretty nasty.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that concludes our round 6 virtual track walk presented by Dunlop Motorcycles. Make sure you guys catch us next week or in Orlando Saturday for round 7 of the Monster Energy Supercross. Make sure, a little reminder, Peacock, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you guys don't miss Race Day Live. Thank you guys for watching, and have a good morning.